my son's tutor. He still lives, I understand.
He does. He is in the dungeon, brother.
Have him brought here, Tegan. I wish to see him. Jowan, what you have done is not in question. You tried to assassinate me and set into motion a series of events that nearly destroyed everything I cherish. What have you to say in your own defense?
Nothing, my lord. Other than to say I am sorry. I expect no mercy for what I've done.
I see. Grey Warden, have you anything to say on Jowan's behalf?
그래, 뉘우치는 것 같고 얘를 증인으로 쓰면 되지.
Oh? That is unexpected. And what would you have me do? As the injured party, my ability to see the merciful path is strained.
그냥 풀어주라고 할까? 근데 얘 입장에서는 좀 어이가 없긴 하겠다. 법사협회로 넘기라 그럴까? 어떡하지? 이 애가 나중에 선택지에 영향이 있었던가? 기억이 가물가물하네. 얘가 나중에 뭔가 좀 영향을 줬었던 것 같아요. 기억이 안 나는 게 문제야. 회합 장소에 데려간 다음 잘게 썰어서 모두에게 본보기를 보이라고요. 아니 갑자기 거기 가갖고 장기 자랑을 시키라고? 아 이게 예전에 얘가 뭐 영향을 좀 줬었던 것 같기도 하고 이게 기억이 안 나니까 이거 선택하기가 애매하네. 풀어주라고 하자. 법사협회로 넘기면 어떻게 될지 뻔하고 요게 약간 변수가 있어요.
That I cannot do. He is a Maleficar.
왜 물어봤어? 이건대로 할 거면 왜 물어봤냐고.
Already racked by war and chaos. I am sorry. Jowan, I hereby turn you over to the Tower of the Circle of Magi. May the Maker have mercy on your soul.
Thank you, my lord.
Now, back to the matter of the landsmeet.
마타 가면은
It
거의
will
뭐
take
죽지
some
못해
time
사는
to
상태 될
call
텐데.
our forces and organize our allies. I would prefer to wait until that is done before calling the landsmeet. In the meantime, I suggest you pursue the remainder of the Grey Warden treaties. We will need
쟤를
all
아예
the allies
풀어주는
we can
방법이
get.
없나? 아니 풀어주려고 해도 지가 책임지겠다고 안 가려고 뻐기고. 용사 직업이 풀렸대요. 이제 다른데
We are still not yet ready to call the landsmeet.
다른데 둘러보면 되고 동료들 퀘스트 이제 진행 가능한가?
At all able to.
What do you wish of me? We are hardly alone, so privacy is not an option. It is your question, however. Ask what you will.
뭐야 왜 대뜸 10이야? 잠깐만 있어봐. 궁금하니까.
What do you wish of me? We are hardly alone. And you are a fool. Is there a reason for this sudden insult? Do you wish me to leave?
사실 칭찬이야 칭찬.
Ah, too kind of you then.
호감을 가겼어. 2번 해보라고요? 나쁜 사람들.
What do you wish of me? We are hardly alone, so privacy. Is there a reason for this sudden insult? Sadly, we don't all get everything we want, do we?
뭐야, 어차피 똑같이 깎이잖아.
What do you wish of me? If you must. I cannot teach you, no, but any other mages that cared to learn, yes, I could do that. Send whoever you wish my way, and I shall teach them what I can in the camp, provided they possess the will to even make the attempt. What do you wish of me? If you must. Why do you ask me such questions? I do not probe you for pointless information, do I?
아, 궁금해서 물어볼 수도 있지.
Beg pardon then while I jump for joy. What is it you asked? If I grew up in the wilds? A curious question. Where else would you picture me? For many years it was simply Flemeth and I. The wilds and its creatures were more real to me than Flemeth's tales of the world of man. In time I grew curious. I left the wilds to explore what lay beyond, never for long. Brief forays into a civilized wilderness. I am no primitive, painted in blood and unable to speak the language. Flemeth knows much of your world and taught me well. For all that I had been taught, however, the truth of the civilized lands proved to be overwhelming. I was unfamiliar with so much. So confident and bold was I, yet there was much that Flemeth could never have prepared me for.
이거 하면 짜증내려나?
I think not. I am no frail flower wilting at the first heat. Only once was I accused of being a witch of the wilds, and that by a chastened who happened to be traveling with a merchant caravan. He pointed and gasped and began shouting in his strange language, and most assumed he was casting some curse upon me. I acted the terrified girl, and naturally, he was arrested.
걔는 어떻게 됐대?
Who cares? As I recall, he was executed. The point being that I was able to move through human lands fairly easily. Whatever humans think a witch of the wild looks like, 'tis not I. Not that I did not have trouble. There are things about human society which have always puzzled me, such as the touching. Why all the touching for a simple greeting? To begin with, yes. What is the point of touching my hand? I find it an offensive intrusion. There were many nuances that Flemeth could never tell me of. When to look into another's eyes. How to eat at a table. How to bargain without offending. None of these things I knew. I still do not understand it all, truth be told, but then I gave up long ago any hope of doing so. When I returned to the wilds last, I swore to Flemeth that I had no intention of leaving again. Yes, here I am. Well, let's get on with it before the ground opens up and swallows us, yes?
아니 뭐였다고 호감도가 700가였어.
Yes? At times, perhaps. A world full of people and buildings and things was all very foreign to me. If I wished companionship, I ran with the wolves and flew with the birds. If I spoke,
여신 파괴자라고요? 아니야, 싫은 척 하는 거야. 나중에 다 나한테 넘어오게 돼 있어.
What did I have to compare it with? In
여신
time, I
분색이라니.
began to wonder, of course. I recall the
님들이
first time I
여심에 대해서
crept
뭘
beyond the
합니까?
edge of the wilds. I did so in animal form, remaining in the shadows and watching these strange townsfolk from afar. I happened upon a noblewoman by her carriage, adorned in sparkling garments the likes of which I had never before seen.
저는 뭘 하냐고요?
I was
지켜보세요.
This to
모리건은
me
저한테
seemed
넘어오게
what
돼
true
있습니다.
wealth and beauty must be. I snuck up behind her and stole a hand mirror from the carriage. It was encrusted in gold and crystalline gemstones, and I hugged it to my chest with delight as I sped back to the wilds. Flemeth was furious with me. I was a child and had not yet come into my full power, and I had risked discovery for the sake of a pretty bauble. To teach me a lesson, Flemeth took the mirror and smashed it upon the ground. I was heartbroken. And a foolish one. Flemeth was right to break me of my fascination. Beauty and love are fleeting and have no meaning. Survival has meaning. Power has meaning. Without those lessons, I would not be here today, as difficult as
엄마가
they might have
너무 냉혹하게 키웠어.
They did indeed. To return to your original question, perhaps my time in the wilds was indeed lonely, but such was how it had to be. I find myself at times wondering what might have become of the girl with the beautiful golden mirror, but such fantasies have no place amidst reality. Yes? If you must. You are very cute to ask so many questions.
저거 봐, 나보고 귀엽대.
And I am glad you are so glad. My mother has been hunted from time to time, yes, by Templar fools like Alistair, which should tell you how successful they generally were. Flemeth made a bit of a game of it, in fact. The Templars would come again, and she would look at me and smile and say that the fun was to begin once more. I found the game fun. I was too young to understand the truth behind what was happening. Flemeth would warn them once. 'Twas a warning they inevitably failed to heed. And then the true game began. Often Flemeth would use me as bait. A little girl to scream and run and lure the Templars deeper into the
딱히
wilds.
떠오르는 단어 없을 때 쓰는 단어가 귀엽다 아니냐고? 그거는 우리나라 한정이고.
It was a game and I a young girl. If I didn't get to play, I would have been very upset. Thankfully, the wilds is a vast place. Once they found us, Flemeth would simply move us elsewhere and we would be lost within the forest once again. I did not understand the danger we faced until I was much older. I had never heard of apostates or maleficarum.
여기서 맞장구를 쳐줘야지 좋아하겠지?
Perhaps they did. Still, I do not begrudge them doing what they believe is necessary. The Chantry sees any mages not leashed to the Circle of Magi as apostates. And apostates could become maleficarum, evil mages that resort to blood magic and become demon-enslaved abominations. It may even be true. Still, those of us who prefer freedom see no reason to submit. Oh, I hope you are not simply being agreeable. It would be a refreshing change.
비
Enough of this
맞춰줘야지.
talk. Let us return to the task at hand. Yes? If you must. Well, that depends, does it not? What does she seem to be?
할머니.
Oh, she is certainly old. Have no mistake of that. Tell me, how much do you know of the tale? The one that the chastened still tell of my mother, to frighten them into obedience. No doubt such a tale has mutated much over time and telling. I can relay what Flemeth once told me herself, and you can decide whether or not 'tis the truth, if you desire. As the tale is sung by the bards, there was a time when Flemeth was young and beautiful, a fair lass in a land of barbarian men, the desire of any who saw her. Many centuries before this land was even named Ferelden. The tales say that Flemeth fell in love with Osen the bard and fled the castle of her husband, the dread Lord Conabar, and that he swore vengeance for her infidelity. In truth, my mother claims that 'twas Osen who was her husband, and Conobar the jealous lord, who looked on from afar. Lord Conobar approached young Osen and offered him wealth and power in exchange for his lovely wife, and Osen agreed. The life of a bard is a poor one, and love fades in the wake of hunger. 'Twas Flemeth who suggested the arrangement. All would have been well had Lord Conobar kept his end of the bargain. But he was a foul man who bargained with coin he did not possess. Osen was led off to a field and slain, left for dead. Flemeth spoke to the spirits and learned of the deed, and swore revenge. That was not the point. Conobar had no honor, so she would not have him. Flemeth begged the spirits to aid her, and 'twas they who slew Conobar. The demon the legend tells of came later. Lord Conobar's allies chased Flemeth, you see. Chased her to the wilds, and there she hid. There she found the demon, and he made her strong. The legends all speak of the great hero Cormac, he who defeated Flemeth and her great army when she invaded the lowlands centuries later. All lies. The truth of the matter is that there was never an invasion. As Flemeth tells it, the Chastened never raised an army under her banner, and she never fought with any warrior named Cormac. Cormac led a brutal civil war against his own people, and later claimed it was to vanquish evil that had taken root amongst the lords. Thus, he was hailed a hero. Flemeth was only attached to the legend much later. Perhaps 'twas due to the great war with the Chastened that eventually came, but Mother claims not to know how it began. You ask if I have sisters. I have asked of this myself. The stories tell of many witches of the wilds, after all, not just the one. And these tales existed long before I did. Flemeth refuses to speak of other daughters, if they existed. So, should I believe I am her first? I doubt that too. The demon within her has transformed her into something else. An abomination, perhaps some would say. I know not. I only know my mother is clever, and she is part of the wilds as it is part of her. But she is no immortal. She bleeds. A blade in her heart would kill her like any other, were it lucky enough to find her. How often is this usually? Always? If not always, then when is it not true? There are more things in this world and the next than you or I could ever hope to understand. What Flemeth became is a mystery. I suspect even to her. I do not believe everything that Flemeth claims. Often it seems her bitterness has colored her memories. But on the whole, yes, I believe this tale, if not all. Flemeth tells it with far more embellishment than I, but you are welcome. Dare I ask of your own mother? Few are abominations of legend, 'tis true, but I find myself curious nevertheless.
나한테 관심을 갖기 시작했군.
Ah, then you have my sympathies for what it is worth. Which is very little, I am certain. It matters not. Let us move on. Yes? If you must.
You know, maybe this isn't the best time to be thinking about this, but I've something to ask you. Chances are we'll be heading to Denerim soon. And when we're there, I wonder if we might be able to look someone up.
이벤트가 원래 여기 하고 나면 뜨는 건가?
No, I know that. That's not what I'm talking about. The thing is, I have a sister, a half-sister. I told you about my mother, right? She was a servant at Redcliffe Castle and she had a daughter. Only I never knew about her. I don't think she knew about me either. They kept my birth a secret after all. But after I became a Grey Warden, I did some checking and, well, I found out she's still alive in Denerim. She's the only real family I have left. The only family not also mixed up in the whole royal thing. I've just been thinking that maybe it's time I went to see her. With the blight coming and everything, I don't know if I'll ever get another chance to see her. Maybe I can help her. Warn her about the danger, I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't know anything about her except her name and where she lives.
네,
Her name is
들어가세요.
Goldana, and I think she remarried but still lives just outside the alienage. If we're in the area, then, well, it's worth a look. Something on your mind? Of course. Have you seen the uniform? It's not only stylish but well made.
그치, 템플러 복장은
I'm a sucker
괜찮지.
for good tailoring. That's just in public. In private, we have these yellow and purple tunics, right? Much more comfortable, and you don't break the beds when you jump on them during a pillow fight. Pillow fights? I mean, no, of course not. I meant sword fights. With rusty swords, dripping with acid. The kind that puts hair on your chest. You don't really want to know about my being a Templar, do you? It's really quite boring.
이거 저번에 들었던 것 같은데?
You know, I like the way you think. You're all right. If you're really curious, then I'll tell you. The truth of the matter is that I did hate going to the monastery. The initiates from poor
저번 거
families
이어서
thought I
얘기하나
put on
보다.
airs, while the noble ones called me a bastard and ignored me. I felt like Al Eamon had cast me off unwanted, and I was determined to be bitter. But I took some solace in the training itself, I guess. I was actually quite good at it. The education, mostly, but also the discipline. You need to have a disciplined mind in order to use the abilities we have. It was difficult, but rewarding. I never really felt at home anywhere, though, until I joined the Grey Wardens. And Duncan felt my Templar abilities might be useful when we encountered Darkspawn magic, so I kept it up. What about you? Do you have anywhere you consider home? Right. Stupid of me to ask. I'm sorry. We won't always be traveling like this, you know. Once the war is over, once the blight is... well, a time will come when we'll have to think about having a real home again. Though that seems like a far ways off. And I suppose the Grey Wardens are gone for good. Either way. Maybe. Could you? I don't know what I'd find out there that would be any different. I guess it would depend on where I was going. Anyhow, now I've sidetracked us. We'd better get back to what we're supposed to be doing right now.
1. 뭔가 좀 심사를 건드렸나 본데?
Something on your mind? Of course. You never asked? We are friends. I didn't mean to... It wasn't supposed to... Oh, let me explain. The thing is...
마음 약한 거 봐.
I'm used to not telling anyone who didn't already know. It was always a secret. Even Duncan was the only Grey Warden who knew. And then after the battle, when I should have told you, I don't know, it seemed like it was too late by then. How do you just tell someone that? Yes, well, I suppose part of me kind of liked you not knowing. They treat me differently. I become the bastard prince to them, instead of just Alistair. I know that must sound stupid to you, but I hate that it shaped my entire life. I never wanted it, and I certainly don't want to be king. The very idea of it terrifies me. Hello? Have you met me? I'm no leader of men. I don't want to be the person sitting on the throne and making decisions that affect the lives of others. It just isn't me. And now Al Eamon plans to put me forward as the heir. It never ends, does it? For what it's worth, I'm sorry for not telling you sooner. It was a dumb thing to do. I guess it's kind of a relief that you know now. Let's go. Something on your mind? Of course. You mean other than becoming a Grey Warden? You know, I asked Duncan this too, and all I got was, "You'll see." Oh, it's not that Duncan wants to keep it a secret. It's just that the Grey Wardens don't discuss it much. I gather it's not a pleasant topic. The first change I noticed was an increase in appetite. I used to get up in the middle of the night and raid the castle larder. I thought I was starving. I'd slurp down every dinner like it was my last. My face all covered in gravy. When I'd look up, the other Grey Wardens would stare, then laugh themselves to tears. Really? I saw you eating dinner the other day. Savage. Fine, I take it back. But if you keep shoveling down our rations like that, the entire party is going to starve. Oh, and then there were the nightmares. Duncan said it was part of how we sense the Darkspawn. We tap into their, well, I don't know what you call it, their group mind. And when we sleep, it's even worse. You learn to block it out after a while, but at first it's hard. It's supposed to be worse for those who join during a blight. How is it for you?
처음에 꿈을 꾸긴 했지.
Some people never have much trouble, but that's rare. Others have trouble sleeping their entire life. They're just more sensitive, I suppose. Everyone ends up the same, though. Once you reach a certain age, the real nightmares come. That's how a Grey Warden knows his time has come. Oh, that's right. We never had time to tell you that part, did we? Well, in addition to all the other wonderful things about being a Grey Warden, you don't need to worry about dying from old age. You've got 30 years to live, give or take. The Taint, it's a death sentence. Ultimately, your body won't be able to take it. When the time comes, most Grey Wardens go to Orzammar and die in battle rather than waiting. It's tradition. And you wondered why we kept the joining a secret from the new recruits. There you have it. I suppose it is. We're the only ones who can stop the Blight, however. Is there a price too high to pay for that? You know, Duncan, he started having the nightmares again. He told me that in private. He said it wouldn't be long before he'd go to Orzammar himself. I guess he got what he wanted. I just wish it had been something worthy of him.
이걸 해야지 호감도가 오르겠지.
You know, ending the Blight should make this all worthwhile, right?
1.
Something on your mind? Of course. I didn't know them for very long, but I guess it was longer than you. You never met them all, did you? They were quite a group. Actually, they felt like an extended family since we were all cut off from our former lives. We also laughed more than you'd think. There was this one time... Well, you probably don't want to hear stories about men you didn't know. There was one Grey Warden who came all the way from the Anderfels. What was his name? Gregor. He was a burly man with the biggest, fuzziest beard you've ever seen. And the man could drink. He drank
전체로
all the time,
보면요?
but he never got drunk. Finally, we all made a pool to see just how many pints it would take to put him under the table.
잡캐 제외하고 애들 동맹 찾으러 가는데 지금 마법사랑 귀족이랑은 했고, 그다음에 드워프 깜프 70 무슨 70이야. 드워프